Released in Japan on the 17th of September, Final Battle Jiren is a Bandai premium web exclusive and retails for 6,050 yen, or roughly $55 to $60, depending on where you get him. For everywhere else in the world, Jiren will start shipping next month, as all international releases are usually a month behind Japan. Whether or not you are a fan of Dragon Ball Super, Jiren is undeniably a popular character, being the prime antagonist in the Tournament of Power arc, the guy for pushing Goku to achieve further heights and giving us one of the most memorable final battles in the series. The figure itself is an excellent combination of great sculpt work and articulation. Based on the original Jiren release, Final Battle Jiren borrows the basic structure from that figure and retools it to give us a faithful representation of Jiren as he appears in the animation, with all the articulation you would need for Jiren to pull off most of his iconic poses. Sometimes the problem with shirtless, armorless characters wearing mainly tight-fitting costumes is that the designs can sometimes be a little bit simplistic. This is definitely not the case with Final Battle Jiren. The fact that he wears even less in this form makes for a more detailed figure. The musculature is well defined, completely resculpted, nothing resembling the base form figure. Yes, the basic structure, the cuts, and the placements of the parts for articulation is essentially the same, but Final Battle Jiren just has so much more sculpted details, from all the scuffs and scratches to the bulging veins, the tattered battle damaged gloves, torn off shirt which Jiren wears sort of like a belt, even the legs, which are reused parts. There is a tear right there on the right thigh, exposing some purple skin. Again, Jiren's design is simple, but all these intricate sculpted details make for a very visually interesting figure. Tamashii has also given us some shading to further bring out those details. It's subtle, but just enough to give us a little bit more depth to the overall figure. And it's matte. The figure has a nice matte finish. Thank you, Tamashii. With all these positives, there are also some negatives. Jiren is defined by his superhero-esque V-shaped tapered physique, which makes for a dynamic looking figure, but also unfortunately making him a little top heavy and a little harder to balance at times. As Jiren is basically a shirtless humanoid, there really isn't anything hindering his articulation, which is fantastic because he gets an excellent range of motion, just like the original Jiren figure. Let's start off with the head. Jiren can move his head up this much. He can bury his chin into his chest quite far down, which is fantastic. He has side-to-side rotation, and he can tilt his head left and right, and that's assisted also by the separate neck joint there, which gives him some really, head pops off mid-review, but yeah, it gives him some really good, really expressive movement there with his neck and his head. Moving on to his shoulders, he does have some very good butterfly joints. It does leave some gaps here at the back, but it does allow Jiren to cross his arms past his chest like that. It also allows Jiren to move his shoulders past 90 degrees. He does have 360 rotation, upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and of course your standard swivel and hinges there at the wrist. Moving on to his torso, he does get some fantastic upper torso movement there. Jiren can crunch forward this much, back this much, and he does have a lower waist swivel as well, but it is extremely tight on my figure and I don't want to break it. But I think if you do heat it up, just loosen it up a little bit, he does have waist articulation there as well. I just don't want to force it. This ripped shirt piece here, unlike the Goku figures, it is a hard plastic, so you don't want to be careful with that. It is quite pointy, so you might hurt yourself, so do note that. Moving on to his legs, Jiren can kick forward this much. Not quite 90, but almost there. He can't kick back because of the way this piece here is sculpted. It does restrict backward articulation, but he can almost do the full splits, which is great. He does have upper thigh cut, double jointed knees, rotation there at the ankle, moves up, moves down, toe articulation, and of course, ankle tilt. Okay, for accessories, Jiren comes with 4 interchangeable heads, excellently sculpted and detailed, clean paint apps, and nice shading work. Just very expressive head sculpts. We also get 4 sets of hands, the exact same hands from the base form Jiren figure, but this time with a new energy effect that fits very snugly onto the left hand. And yes, you can mix and match the accessories with both figures. The heads fit perfectly as the neck joints are exactly the same. I actually prefer the Final Battle Jiren head on the base body. And since the hands are also the same too, you can use the energy effects with either figure. So do you really need 2 Jiren figures? Yes, absolutely. Final Battle Jiren, I feel, has enough changes made to warrant another purchase, to the point that they almost feel like different characters. Though both figures, again, essentially share the same body, the upper torso is significantly larger, tankier than the base form, which is what it should be, and I'm really glad that they didn't just repaint the original release. Though you're not getting a ton of new accessories and the additional energy effect is a little underwhelming, the figure on its own is still an excellent combination of great sculpt work, decent paint apps, and articulation carried over from the original figure. If you're not totally convinced with the Figuarts release, you still have the option to go with the hulkier and cheaper Figurize option. Either way, Figuarts Final Battle Jiren is a solid release and makes the perfect partner for your Ultra Instinct Goku. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. Have a fantastic weekend and I'll be seeing you all very soon. Yoroshiku.